Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kat, and today we're going to be making a Swiffer mop cover with a 5mm hook. You also need a tapestry needle and some scissors. For this project, use a 100% cotton yarn. I'm using the Peaches and Cream. It's a 4-weight yarn. They recommend a 5mm hook. I picked this up at Walmart for about $2. A ruler or something to measure your Swiffer width so that you know it's going to fit. I would not recommend following the exact stitch count because depending on your yarn and tension and the size of your Swiffer, you might need to make your row count slightly different. So for this pattern, we're going to do a slip knot and start with a chain, and my chain has to be 4.5 inches wide in order to fit my Swiffer. That was a chain of 17 that I needed to get to that width, and because my extra chain at the end was a turning chain, I'll end up with 16 stitches in my first row, and they'll be all single crochets. Then I'm going to turn my work, chain 1, and in that same stitch I'm going to yarn over and do a half double crochet. I'm going to do half double crochets across the whole row, so another 16 half double crochets. Here's the last stitch of my half double crochet row, and then I'll go ahead and just turn my work, chain 1, and in that same stitch I'll yarn over and do my half double crochet. We're going to repeat this pattern until we have a length of 4 inches long. The 4 inches is what's going to go over the top of my Swiffer, so I'll need that 4 inches in length on either side of the Swiffer. The total length of the piece is going to be 18.5 inches, and then I'll show you how we sew these flaps at the end. So I'm continuing on, I'm measuring, and you can see that it's a little bit wider than the 4.5 with these half double crochets. That's just because it's a very stretchy stitch. It's not a big deal. Once I switch back to my sturdier stitches, it will shrink back up to the correct width. So make sure your chain is the right width, and it doesn't matter if it gets bigger as you do these rows of half double crochets. So now that I've reached my length of 4 inches, I'm going to turn and chain 1, and this is the part we're going to start the scrubby under part of the Swiffer pad. So we're going to do a single crochet, we're going to skip a stitch, do another single crochet, and then we're going to go back into the skipped stitch and do a single crochet. We're going to repeat that all the way across. So in the next stitch, single crochet, skip a stitch, and in the next stitch, single crochet, and then you'll go back to that skip stitch and single crochet. This is called a single crochet cross stitch, and it makes a nice sturdy scrubby texture that ended up working really well as a Swiffer pad. So this part is not going to be stretchy at all, like the flaps that are going to go over the top of the Swiffer, which we did on purpose to kind of help get it on. So we're going to do this all the way across, and that's how it looks. So again, single crochet, skip a stitch, into the next stitch, single crochet, go back to that skipped stitch, single crochet, and now we're at the very last stitch here. We'll just do a single crochet, and that is our first row of our single crochet cross stitch. So now I can go ahead and turn my work, and I've already chained 1 there, so I'm just going to go into my first stitch, single crochet, and we're just going to single crochet all the way across this row. Okay, I've single crocheted across the row. I'm at my last stitch, and that's how it should look. So we'll go ahead and we will turn our work and into the same stitch after chaining 1, put a single crochet, skip a stitch, single crochet, and go back into the skipped stitch. So this is another row of our single crochet cross stitch. So the pattern is doing a row of single crochet cross stitch and then a row of single crochets. So after about 3 rows of this is when you can start to really see the texture change from the single crochet cross stitch to the half double crochets. And this is our scrubby part of our Swiffer, and it's much sturdier than this stretchy stitch over here. Great. So we'll just chain 1 and turn and keep on going. I need this part to be 10.5 inches long. And at that point, once I get 10.5 inches of this single crochet cross stitch scrubby fabric, I can switch back to my half double crochets and do 4 more inches in length of that. So I'm just measuring. As you can see, this is shrinking up quite a bit to the 4.5 that we originally wanted. So this stitch is going to be more representative of our original chain length. Whereas, like I said before, the half double crochet widens things up because it's stretchy. So at this point, I've reached about 13 inches. I need to go a little bit more with my scrubby stitch, and I'll be where I need to be. It'll have to be at 14.5 in order to start my half double crochets, and that is what I'm starting here. So now I'm doing my section of half double crochets. This needs to be another 4 inches long, and then we will be ready to fold these flaps over, sew them, and we will have a Swiffer pad that's ready to use. So I'm just showing you here that I kind of went a little long with it. Whoopsies, that's why it's good to have something to measure with, and then I'm just frogging until I get back to my 18.5, almost 19 inches. And so I'm folding these over, and you can already see how it's looking like a Swiffer pad. We'll sew the sides, and those little pockets will be able to go over your Swiffer. So I'm using, these are just like sewing clips. You can also use a stitch marker to keep your stuff together. You don't even really have to do this, it's just more for convenience. And then I whipped out my tapestry needle. I'm going to sew each side and weave in my ends, and then I'll flip it inside out, and it's done, and it's really fun to make. Definitely recommend you guys try to make this. Let me know if you do, or if you ever tried to make one. They're washable. You can stick them on the washer dryer. They will shrink a little bit, but you'll be able to stretch it back over your Swiffer pad, so don't worry about that. And we are done. This is the final Swiffer. It's pretty cute. We'll go ahead and throw it on our Swiffer pad and show it to you in action. If you like this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell. For the written pattern, just head over to my Threads account or my Instagram account. I'll link both of those in the description, and I'll see you guys on the next video.